Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Smite in the Sewer. And boy, do we got a tasty game coming up for you right here. Scrumptious up against a nice plate of Borscht. I'm Deelo, here to bring you the action alongside Musi Clan. You've been hearing all day long. We got Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky. Musi, how we feeling?
I'm feeling pretty freaking fired up right now, Deal. I'm not gonna lie,
Yeah.
this game's gonna be gas. I'm psyched, dude.
It's
Hanging on
some high
every S.
competition. It's some high competition. Like, this is two teams. They've taken a loss. They know what it feels like to taste the stinging, sultry taste of defeat. But they also know that tantalizing taste of victory, too. They've gotten it twice. Scrumptious being sent here by Food Drive for Globe with a lot of food names now. I'm thinking about it here. Hopefully going to make for a nice, delicious game 3 set. I would love to see this be competitive, keep it close, keep it fast-paced and dirty.
Oh yeah, I mean, with these two teams, it's like you said, they've both taken an L at this point. So both teams, I'm not going to use the word desperate here. That's a little extreme, but they need this win. They got to get themselves back in a winning position. And in order to do that, they got to go through another like Titan of them. So the aggression that I expect to see coming out of both of these teams, I am hoping for blood on the floor almost immediately.
And as far as just the picks go as well, what are we hoping for there? Obviously, Amaterasu is still competitively banned. Not going to be expecting that. When you have these higher echelon players, is there certain picks that we think maybe get left to the wayside a bit more often and other picks that get a bit more attention?
So right now, gods that are going to be really contested, Baron Samdi has been the name of the game. We've been seeing him a lot. He's either been super banned or he's been on some winning team or another. We also have Kukulkan, who's made a very significant rise recently. What with Sunder not being as powerful as it was, Spirit of the Nine Winds becomes an incredible tool for securing Gold Furies, for securing Fire Giants. And when you have gods like Fenrir able to bring people over to you, your mirror walls and freezes, you have a lot of setup to get all your damage off. In a likewise fashion, Hecate has been dominating fights. Open the Gates is a wonderful tool to just say, hey, you're mine now, or alternatively, we're going over there. Please leave us alone. So look to see, keep an eye out for Cuckoo, keep an eye out for Fenrir, Baron Samdi, Yamoja is here too. There are so many strong picks. It'd be easier to say what we're not going to see.
And especially, of course, when your god pool is limited in the first place, you've got plenty of options. A mere smorgasbord. It's a charcuterie board here. And Borscht are looking to try to get their pick of the litter, but Scrumptious is going to have that first pick to their name, which is going to be incredibly important, of course. It might just be that Fenrir, if it indeed does not get banned away, but I'm excited to find out here. We obviously have some huge names. There's Haddix and the rest of the boys, Rat Milk, player that we know from the days of SDL Old, and now is going to be continuing to try to bring that reign of terror. As far as what we expect for game plan, battle strategy, should they just go out from the outset with aggression, or do you expect it to be a bit more slow-paced?
So what I've been noticing from a lot of the games we've been seeing this weekend is it's kind of a slow ramp. Nothing hits the fan quite yet. People aren't ready to commit until Gold Fury becomes an option. It's almost like before that point, there's not too much that you want to do. Invade meta has backpedaled quite a bit. Again, Sunder is not the strong tool that it was before. So it's really about these initial Gold Furies, and then later in the game, we start transitioning to Pyromancers and Fire Giants. So I'd say 5 minutes, it's going to hit the fan.
Keep an eye on those clocks then. Make sure your Apple Watch timer is set. And hopefully we can see some early set aggression around that objective. And if it is indeed those Kukulkans, those Yamojas, great ultimates that really make a Gold Fury fight feel that much more intense. And now we can see where it all lies down. Scrumptious going to have that delicious first pick. And what will they decide to go for? First, we're going to look at the bands, the hors d'oeuvres, as we see Baron Samedi once again going to be gracing that screen.
And likewise, Fenrir being taken away. These two gods are purification burners. And Fenrir especially, we've seen a lot of success with him since he's come out. And meaning that like Talisman of Purification is like a must-have item when fighting him. So being able to take him away means that maybe the pressure isn't on you as much to have to focus your build towards that. But this Odin from Scrumptious here means that we will almost certainly be seeing more than a few shells from Borscht.
Bye, 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 shell, shell, shell. That's just been the way the market economy's been flowing here, and it seems that it's going to be the same case. Hecate and Bacchus are the response, both things that can get out of a cage. Obviously, one a bit more easily than the other, but if you have that relic all slotted alongside every single member of your team, not too big of an issue. But you know what is an issue? More walls upon more walls. Yamoja going to be the next pick there alongside that Goobus for Scrumptious.
Shell stocks are up right now. They have an
Buy.
Odin. They have a Yamoja. It is time to buy. Get your shell, get it online, and rock and roll. It's not only a way to get away from all these walls, it's going to help them sustain against characters like Anubis, who put out so much damage and who can just live forever because of his passive. Typhon's change happening recently means that he's going to have even more lifesteal. I'm loving these picks so far.
Thanatos and Neath from Borscht gives them that global presence and, again, more ways to escape out of walls, not too shabby for your troubles. Whereas Loki, I've seen this pick slotted in on teams with Yamoja quite a bit, and it makes sense. Yamoja, unlike an Odin, I feel like that ultimate's a bit more for separating fights, whereas Odin's meant to keep them all in one concerted location. You know who benefits from a separated fight? The Trickster God themselves. On her also certainly love some player-made walls, but you don't have Ymir alongside it, and that's just sad.
Well, you can land a on her impale stun off of Odin wall. So he has that tool available to him. Even without the Ymir wall, you can still pin in the cage. I'm looking at the Scrumptious comp right now, Deelo, and I'm reminded of those little mini games where you cut off certain pieces of paper and then you win that little section. They have so much space control. They have Odin ult, they have Yamoja ult, and then you have characters like Loki who can just say, hey, I heard you were stuck out from your team. Come here! And then on her, who is able to shred objectives with this Yamoja as well, she gives you basic attack damage and attack speed when you stand in the center of her stun off her first ability. On her loves that. They're going to be taking Gold Furies. They're going to be taking Fire Giants. First, though, they're going to take out Borscht with their comp over there. Holy cats. That is a lot of damage from Neath and Thanatos and Hecate. Whew! Ultimates galore.
And a Hades there to finish off the job, the cherry on top of Borscht. I don't think that's how they quite serve the dish, if I'm quite familiar with it. It is also a lot of sustain on top of that damage. You gotta imagine anti-heals on the mine, and of course, you have that Odin cage, but if it's going into the solo where we might imagine it, you're not going to be seeing those rotations for a bit longer. So hopefully Scrumptious is going to be able to counter-build effectively. But looking at it, composition for composition, we've got everyone rip-roaring to go. Musi, who do you favor?
I'm not going to lie. I'm a Scrumptious believer in this moment. That team comp looks absolutely nasty. They've got a good split between physical and magical gods. They have so much space control. They have so much damage. But I can't count out Borsch's comp because I love characters like Thanatos and Hades, the way that they can initiate on fights or clean up fights with their ultimates, and a global presence with Neath and powerhouses like Bacchus and Hecate. It could go either way. It's really going to come down to who wins the fight around those early objectives and who's going to scale better into the late game, which I think Scrumptious still does scale better into the late game, honestly.
Let's find out. First 5 minutes on the board is going to be what we look for, and we're looking into this game one. Scrumptious versus Borscht. Here we go. Welcome back. After a short wait, hope you didn't miss us. Scrumptious, Borscht, Smite Founders Series, bringing you here for this Swish stage bracket. It's game one. I'm Deelo, here to bring you the action alongside Musi Clan. We got Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky. You watching at home. Lanes, there's 3 of them. Which one's got your eye, Musi?
I'm staring at this solo lane right now between Hades and Odin. Or no, wait, I'm mistaken. Is that a Hades and Loki solo? Okay. Odin solo? Oh, the camera. Oh, the eyes. I see it now. So Loki and Odin sitting over there in solo lane waiting for that Hades. I got sussed out. I got too excited, Deelo. I'm a man of spice. I love seeing it. But between Odin and Hades, I honestly believe that Hades will have an initial leg up over this Odin, but a few items in, Odin's going to find himself really good. Ooh, an early blink out of Baskin there. It's going to give Scrumptious some pressure onto this blue invade and red.
Yeah, Yamoja rotating in for it as well. I respect it. Baskin didn't know how many other members were lurking in the waters, lurking in the bushes. just didn't want to risk their life for the claim. So you give up some buffs and some good early pressure there, but Borscht trying to respond back in this left side. It's going to be interesting to see the division of that pressure and whether or not it aligns with your comp. Do you think Scrumptious gain more by focusing attention on the solo side?
Scrumptious putting more focus on that solo side means that they get to put Haddix in a strong position over Hades. I initially said that Hades is going to be a little bit better than Odin in the beginning, just because I believe Hades has stronger clear. Now that you take away the mana buff from Baskin, he has to be a little bit more careful about how he's using his mana and controlling that. And this also gives Haddix initial buff camps such as the gold one. If he can get an early Totem of Coup, that really helps with that first solo clash when their Minotaur is dead, but yours is still alive because of that totem.
So look for that. Also look for this gank here in the mid. That's Scythe. Don't know where I was going, trying to maybe hit the Queen Naga before it even spawns in the jungle. But at the very least, get some intimidation factor. It's a warning shot. Next one's coming right for your skull. Better be careful there, Loki.
And then also, more working off of what we were talking about before, meanwhile in dual lane, losing your purple buff, maybe not as important to characters like Honor, who isn't going to benefit from the split scaling that purple buff is giving you. But this Loki that's kind of hanging around here will be a benefit in just a moment.
Especially if you get a nice first blood for your side. Backflip expended, but they're expecting. They're going in with the blink. They got the dancing blades, but who's going to be dancing at the end of the sword? Zapman goes in aggressive with that disperse. Stunned forward, punished. Lion's been put in a cage. First blood there goes down to the knee. Now Wrong View making the wrong move, having to step back now. Dancing Blade trying to dissuade them from continuing the offensive, but you can't do it. Bandicat with the double kill there in this left lane. Seemed to look good there for Nog, but it was not the move.
Shell stocks are up, everybody. This is your time to buy. What an important relic in that fight in the dual lane. It kept Panda Cat and Final K alive in that engagement so that they could have that proper turnaround onto Scrumptious. Crazy important, and that's just going to be another thing going the way of Borscht here, so they can kind of offset that pressure that they were losing in solo lane. They're now going to find it in that dual lane.
And that's interesting to see the different philosophies of where we decide to mount our pressure and how it's going to work out once the 5v5s begin. Zapman trying to work out how to get the hell away from this Bacchus. That damage is nothing to slouch at. Might not be first release Bacchus, but it's still no slouch. At this point, though, Borscht just content with the farm they've wrought. And it's going to be interesting, like you said, to see when it ends up actually coming of each of these long lanes. The mid not receiving too much attention quite just yet. What does this matchup look like here? We might see in a moment, just because both ults just exchanged, you know, showing off, hey, I know how to click for as well.
I think that what we just saw there is a really good example of how that matchup goes. Hecate throws out her ult, Anubis ults in response. They both stare at each other for a moment and say, all right, you don't have that for the next engagement. They can both clear pretty safely, and Anubis can move so quickly using his one now, so they don't have to worry about putting themselves out of position as much in order to get that off. The really important factor here is going to be which jungler is going to interfere with that to cause some problems, or alternatively, which support. So you can see Bacchus kind of standing around that mid lane, but nothing coming of it quite yet.
Also, Bacchus now looking at the relics here. Yeah, shell stocks are up, but not as much as you might think. The economy has maybe lied to us a little bit, and unfortunately, you might be paying the price to get Sundering Arc. Just trying to bring back the glory days of Smite 2, and that was the heyday for everyone. And 2 blinks on your side. Do we think it's a bit of folly on the side here of Borscht, or do they have enough tools to escape these player-made obstacles?
So Bacchus can get away from Odin Cage. He can kind of work his way around Yemoja, and when you're a tank, you're going to be building items like Talisman of Purification, maybe you're picking up a Phoenix Feather, so you have tools to keep you alive in the items that you're building, so you don't need it as much from your relic. That lets you build things like Thunder, help confirm objectives. There's not a Kukulkan in this game. No god is really sticking out to me in this match as, I'm going to kill this objective. Thunder is a pretty safe pick.
So maybe he's expecting, when it comes to that 5-minute mark, which we've now approached, Borscht could just be looking to just dominate the objective game and swing the gold lead so far in their favor. Scrumptious can never actually get their threats online. With that being the case, 5 minutes here, 2-0. in favor of Borscht so far. Gold lead going their way, but just slightly. You're going to need those objectives to actually start to see some real dividends. The question is, will Borscht decide to do that without getting a pick first? And if they do look for the pick, who's it going to be on top of? Loki trying to find one of their own, forcing ultimate for ultimate. Shinto going to do the exact same thing. A quick little laser show. Thanatos had to leave there early. A quick bathroom break.
He's going to go hit the potty real quick while we get to see, again, how these players are able to exchange these ultimates in these engagements. It's gonna take more than pressing 4, right? You got to do more than pop an ultimate. You got to try to find a position where you can catch them lacking somewhere. Maybe meet them at a buff, you know, catch them with their pants down. They're at the bathroom and you're like, hey, buddy, boom, boom, boom. That's your chance, right? You gotta jump them.
That is messed up.
While they're doing that, right? You know, that's life, man. This is life or death for these teams. It's true. Are we losers or winners, right? So play dirty. I saw Loki split push a Phoenix and win today. Nothing's off the table at this point.
It's a punch at the urinal, get punched at the urinal kind of world. And Scrumptious and Borscht are just living in it. Might be our friend the Bacchus here just dying in it if the rest of Haddix's squad can decide to rotate around. Fine okay might not be fine okay in just a moment. Even that bouncing bubble, but there's still plenty tanky for it. Cage gonna drop, but just for a bit of safety, Haddix is in trouble, and they're in hot pursuit. Hey, how about some more player-made walls? Your shell stocks aren't quite high enough. Baskins got to use that blink to retreat instead. Now Scrumptious once again on the offensive. They're trying to look for the one pick. Baskin having used that dash, but they do have another one way to get out. Open the gates has been expended, but it's not for enough damage. Instead, it's going to fall on top of Nog's head. Pagon pegs him down. That's going to be a third kill in the pocket to Scrumptious, or sorry, on top of Borscht. And that means Scrumptious have no more business in this jungle.
Wrong you, just not in a position to give Nog that talisman of purification. You can see that it's online right away. They respect the CC that Borscht is able to put out, but unfortunately not there to actually use that active item. But I really do appreciate from Wrong You that we're building it so early. Talisman of Purification is such a strong item. The ability to just cleanse your team for a full second. The cooldown's a little long. It's 180 seconds. That is a bit of time, but in a pinch, it's exactly what you need to turn a fight around.
And especially when you have a lot of magical threats in the first place on the opposite side, Bacchus, Akate, Hades, it's just good for the defenses too. It's a great pickup indeed, especially against this Pillars of Agony. We haven't gotten to quite see that be super impactful just quite yet. But I'm curious to find if Baskin can get those opportunities. We're seeing a lot of defensive play from both sides. Baskin with those blinks, as well as Scrumptious using both of their player-made obstacles in that last fight just to try to get people out. Is that how you want to see that be used? What's the ideal method of application of an Odin Cage or your Emoji ult?
For Odin Cage, I like Odin Cage as a way to control a space, especially in the Smite 2 map around that Gold Fury pit. Those pillars, there's enough room there to fit an Odin Cage around it and trap some people in there, really limiting the space that they have to work with. For Yamoja ult, cut off a corridor. The Yamoja ult is the perfect panic button of, no, we're done with this, I don't want it.
Oh, we want the kill though. Looking for Fine OK once again. Haddix is a bit too big for their britches. Leaps forward without Bacchus doing the same. The Moonstrike though takes them down. Fine OK finally gets killed. Scrumptious are on the board.
And again, there we see that Odin ult forcing out the shell so that you know all chips are on the table there. You know what abilities you can throw out to end that engagement and pick up that kill. I like that use of the ultimate. Just because they have relics that can get them out of it doesn't mean that the ult is now lesser or any like way, shape, or form. It's still really strong. And remember, Odin will have that up more often than they'll have shell. So now, what I really want from Scrumptious is to go find Fine OK, and do it again.
First you don't succeed? Well, at least in this case, you did succeed. Just keep doing it again. Kill, kill. Scrumptious. Actually having the lead now, despite not being quite on top in terms of those kills. So showing that just global map presence that we saw from minute 1. Now it's just going to be a question of who puts that first hand on this Fury. We're also seeing an interesting bit of itemization we talked about at the desk. Nice anti-heal secured there by the Odin in form of that Ruinous Ankh. But do we need to see more of it, especially considering that Haddix is kind of chained to that solo?
I would love to see more of it. You're fighting characters like Hades, but also there's a Thanatos in the jungle. He doesn't have a health bar. Everything he does is based off of max health and healing and profiting from the damage that he's doing. So you need to try to take that agency away from him so that they don't have as much access to it. The Ruinous Venom is only 600 gold. That's very easy to commit to, especially early on in the game. You don't need to finish the item. You can just have the tier 2 30% reduced healing and just vibe. Finish the rest of your build.
Yeah, that might be what we need to see. And in fact, we're seeing it on Borscht's side instead. They say, hey, don't you want this item? They're trying to buy them off the shelves before Scrumptious can get their hands on it. It's Black Friday sales. And it might just be Gold Fury that's the next offer on the mark. We're seeing some players rotate around for it. The solos haven't quite gotten the memo. They're just content to play Farmville on the right side. But never mind, Odin decides to make a little bit of traipse, a quick vacation to the left side. Might get back only to see corpses of their team because Yamoja's underneath that threat, forcing the Talisman. Nice engage there for the Bacchus. Now might pay for their trouble. The laser show, the last thing you see. Fight okay. Brought down once again, but Wrong You might be there to follow. The hovering death finds one target, but they might get taken out right afterwards. Can't escape. Nog finds the double. 2 for 1 so far. There's more damage to be had though. Shinto cannot escape. Baskin takes their soul for claim, but can they escape? Whoever gets a kill will surely die next, and they're looking for the Hades. One more basic in the back could do it, but the Odin's gonna lead the charge forward. No stunning and a nice fear. It gets them the fear of God to back away. It's not going to be enough, though. Baskin for the killing spree on Loki. And Borscht still looking so tantalizing. We only have the hors d'oeuvres. We want dessert. They'll leap to evade. They open the gates. It's still not enough damage, and now Nog's the next one to die. Any member who gets a kill will soon have their head taken. Best get out of there, Neith. You might be next.
Overzealous on the side of Scrumptious there. They had a wonderful fight and then just overcommitted just a tad. That gave Borscht the opportunity to turn around and steal themselves a Gold Fury. That's 1 pip for Borscht now, getting out of that base just a bit faster. Holy cats. They went all the way under that tier 1 tower too. That fight was all over the place.
It really was. They were just chasing down any member they saw less than half health. Get them. And they succeeded for the most part. And that Gold Fury is going to be the consequence going the way of Borscht. We didn't get to quite see it as early as we maybe expected, but there was certainly a lot of scrapping that led up to it. And as far as their game plan went, what does Scrumptious have to adjust for the next fight to make sure it goes their way?
Honestly, back off after you take that win. Oh, this duel lane's stressing me out a little bit, but back off after you take that win, man. You won the fight, and then they just stayed a little bit too long.
Oh, I don't think they want to back up. They want to go forward. S-Key's forgotten. We're looking for Fine OK once again. The leap elicited by the rebuke as well as the backflip. Cage going to trap in one. We got more walls for you. Should have gotten invested in more shell stocks. Going to be the duel lane wiped away. Scrumptious take a tasty meal.
They are literally up right now. Is a bull market? Boar market? I forget. But there it is again. The double walls from Yamoja and Odin. Yamoja ult, now Bacchus is forced to flop out of it. Right into the waiting, loving, crushing arms of an Odin ult and the rest of their team. Scrumptious doing exactly what they need to do with their ultimates. Just beautiful play all around there.
It's fantastic rotations from Haddix, too, who's shown very quickly they're willing to be participant, leave some farm, eat some tower damage to contribute to the greater good. That results in you being up on the kill board as well, and now, despite that Gold Fury loss, nice 1,000 gold lead going the way of Scrumptious, too. At very least, Borscht still have that pip to their name, so they're going to be able to get that base a bit faster. Might be trying to go for Nog, but he's trying to go fast, too. Look at how many belts this man's wearing. He is absolutely drip drowning.
This is reminiscent of Linkin Park era high school. You know, it's not a phase, mom. I got 3 belts on and a million frickin' zippers. Loki walking around, not a fear in the world. Also, wait, yeah, what's Haddix doing over in that dual lane? Wasn't he our solo laner? Shoutouts to solo laners who rotate to dual lane. Let's go. You're my GOAT. Thank you. Join my games, please.
He's back in the solo lane, and I don't think the Hades is quite big a fan. So can you go back to duo, please? Leave me be. Gonna force out the Pillars of Agony. Might force out the life in a second, but that tier 1 tower, awfully scary. So is the hovering death. Looking for the Haddix, not gonna find the mark, and now Ratmill could be in trouble. Nice tall glass of Thanatos could just be a delicious way to wash down this Borscht. But Haddix, maybe your eyes were a bit bigger than your stomach. Gonna go down right after the Intoxicate drops on their head. But the exchange, they lose Rat Milk too, thanks to the rotation from Rongyu. It's an unexpected 1-for-1, and Rongyu wants more. Don't forget, buddy, you are no carry. Best back off before you get overzealous again.
What a great presence of mind. I was thinking to myself, why didn't they go in on that Hades, who is almost certainly dead to rights under that tier 1 tower? They had no dash, they used their ult. You're an Odin cage, you can't heal. And then I see it that Thanatos hovering in the sky, and, you know, Haddix saw it too. They were able to take that backstep. But unfortunately, on the heels of that was the rest of Borscht, so that rotation really coming in clutch, putting Haddix down a notch, making sure that he can't have full reign of the entire map. Just the dual lane, but not in solo lane. That's Hades territory.
To be fair, they are kind of doing what you asked. They had the opportunity for that kill, like you mentioned. They recognized if we go for it, we might get the kill, but either way, Thanatos is too big of a threat. They knew when to hold him, knew when to fold him, knew when to walk away. Unfortunately, you said too many members of Borscht walking at you as well. So that's going to result in that 1-for-1 trade, keeping the kill board even. It is a competitive set we've got here. I'm just so curious as what elements, what tools we're relying on to be the key to pull one team ahead of the other.
Right now, the big key that I'm seeing is this difference in levels and items that we have with the junglers of the team. Loki's got 4 kills. He just finished Heartseeker. They've got Tekko, Kagi, Transcendence. Now Loki is online and ready to kill people, and a Gold Fury started up over here for Scrumptious.
I can't quite get the PvP down quite just yet. Let's just practice on this Fury. She stands still, giving my damage buffed up. Nice Gold Fury there, evens the tally in terms of the objectives, but not going to even up the gold as Scrumptious continue to expand that lead. Borscht caught with their pants down, but they're not going to get punched for it. They're just going to get their pockets run instead.
And Typhon's Fang being finished on Anubis, I see now as well, means that they're going to be a menace. Just intelligence and lifesteal is everything that Anubis wants and dreams about. So having that online is going to be a tipping point in this mid lane as well.
I'm curious to see as well when it comes to these groupings. We're starting to see players getting these 3, 4, 5-man death balls. Does the strategy remain the same for Scrumptious? They've been targeting Fine OK with very great success. An 0-3 Bacchus is a Bacchus that you don't have to fear quite as much. But does that target need to change once the rest of Borscht join the squad?
Once we start escalating to team fights that involve more players, Bastion getting jumped on by Nog here, forced to use the ult to get away. Whew! Alright. Wiping away my brow from the sweat that just formed there. As I was saying, at this point, jump on Pagon. Hecate is not a god that you want to see come online. She's got the cooldown build. They've got Book of Thoth, Chronos Pendant, and Gem of Focus, along with that Sense of Time. They are just going to be rip-roaring abilities. Jump on that mid laner and shut them down, or they will ult you on cooldown.
They still seem to have eyes only for Fine OK. Just making a beeline for the poor Bacchus. Leave the guy alone. Already got 3 DUIs. Dude does not want to go back to prison. And Scrumptious don't want to go too much further into this jungle. Instead, decide to focus their ire on this Pyromancer. Borscht are aware that they're doing it. Neath, the only one not quite joining the team, and has to cross that very dangerous channel. The potential River's Rebuke would be a great tool to block them off so they try to cross their path. And instead, Scrumptious just focusing on this objective, slowly whittling it down. We all know what their eye's really on. It's those tantalizing, delectable kills. Looking for Thanatos first. The cage has been dropped. Separates the fight just a bit. Borscht now having to find their way back in. Thanatos decides to ult back down for safety, landing amongst the rest of the team. Some decent poke here on the members of Scrumptious. To open the gates has been expended, though. Could be troublesome here as the Hecate gets separated to the left side alongside the Neath. Pyromancer gets forgotten, so does the rest of the team. Scrumptious decided just to call this a victory, at the very least, a tie.
Talisman of Purification, quite literally saving the lives of the members of Scrumptious there. Rongyu in the right place at the right time. Learning from the mistake of watching Nog get swept away by that Hecate means that they won't lose that Pyromancer and they get to keep this tied game. Poor Zapman. He can't have that gold buff. That's not for you. You gotta get Fine OK something, alright? You've taken so much from them already. Yeah,
you gotta get that blessings. You gotta get little gifts for your teammates. I always appreciate when people are just really incredibly adamant about getting the gifts. Like, bro, this 30 gold is mine. You do not understand. Rent's been rough. 20 minutes now. 7-7 here reads the scoreboard, and Ren has been rough for Borscht. You know how the housing bubble's been just continuously growing, and now it might just get even worse. Might be looking to pop this bubble around Panda Cat's health bar, but here comes the counter. Nice blink there to evade that Death Scythe. With that, Rat Milk can't quite catch up to the Loki. You're just a bit too slowky.
Check out that shell on Panda Cat too. They ate so many abilities from Loki, bought them just enough time to have Rat Milk pull up behind him and be like, hey, stop picking on my friend. Nog's forced to just get out of there. But that does mean that Scrumptious has some pressure over here on the right side of the map. This Pyromancer is about half health.
This is their chance to rip. Scrumptious are investing abilities, but that does mean they don't have it when the Bacchus jumps in. That's our target. That's fine, okay. And we have eyes only for them. The Gungir's Might unfortunately goes a bit wide. It means that Pyromancer fight does not look quite as tantalizing. Once again, we're seeing this exact same matchup. Shinto and Akate shake hands across the lane, say, all right, no 4 keys for either one of us.
But the difference this time between then and now is that Hakati has so much cooldown. She's going to have that ultimate up before Anubis does. This fight isn't even over yet.
They might just look to end it before Hakate can even get it back up. Meanwhile, Rat Milk in the back line, recognizing that they are by themselves, but just as Baskin steps in, Thanatos floats out, decides to come back down aggressively, but they're full health, buddy, and you're the one getting executed instead. Haddix takes their life for claim. With that, Borscht have to flee.
Maybe he thought he was going to have some follow-up there. I mean, Borscht is trying to make a stance now.
Will it work out for you is the question. Look for fine, okay, why not? Or maybe it just could be the Hades. Pillar of Agony used once again defensively and quickly having to use their dash out. There's that cooldown, but what's it all for if you can't hit any members? Scrumptious tiptoe their way around the portals, can just resume this Pyromancer in earnest.
Without an Anubis ult used there again as well, they won't have it to melt this Pyromancer, but I don't believe Borscht will make too much of a showing here, I say, as Panda Cat walking up here. Maybe not Pyro, but wants something else hiding in this bush.
Ooh, decent damage there on top of Wrong You, but not going to be in too much danger. Despite having that ultimate, no one's quite positioned to actually make sure that no one could body block any incoming World Weavers. Means that Scrumptious took another objective to their name, just continuing to slowly build upon the plate, heaping more servings of gold to their side. Borscht, they have tools, they're capable, these are incredible players. What do we need to see adjusted from them to make sure that they come out on top next time?
Rat Milk, don't dive in like that like you did. Oh my god, Shinto!
Panda Cat, maybe don't die either this time. River's Rebuke gonna try to capture him, but they'll open the gates, evades everything, but a Gungir's Might from way downtown. Haddix is a professional javelin thrower. Beautiful work, then takes down Baskin from Zapman's perspective. A bird's eye view is all Rat Milk's gonna get, but we can give you an up-close and personal demonstration if you want. He says, I think I'm good. I already saw the light show before. Has to retreat stage left. Scrumptious are taking every scrap that Borscht can offer.
Well, look at where FineOK is right now. The only holder of Talisman of Purification is on the other side of the map. That means that when all this CC comes out of Scrumptious, nobody's there to do anything about it. The only people who have beads, it's just FineOK. None of them have Purification. They either invested in Shell or Sunder or Blink, which, you know, solid investments, but FineOK.
I think Shell might be a rug pull scheme. It might be a crypto pro kind of agency. Fine, okay. Unfortunately, falls for it. Says, what happened? My bank account's empty. My life bar is too. FG secured without an issue. Scrumptious have it around all 5 members' waists.
Water's getting a little hot here, Deelo. You know, for reasons that I can't disclose, I gotta go buy more shells, though. I'll catch you later. I'll see you guys. All right. Bye. But no, for real, you can invest in Shell. Shell is a great, wonderful relic, but you need to make sure that you have more than one Talisman of Purification, especially when you're fighting characters that has Anubis wrap. The Yamoja has a stun. You will get launched. Zapman on her has a stun. Odin has a stun. Loki has a stun. They're going to have a Gold Fury in a second here, unless Borscht can do something to lessen the bleeding. But at this point in time, if they keep trying to take these fights in such an awkward way, they're not going to get a second chance.
That wound is open. It is bleeding freshly. Anubis can't even cauterize with that laser. That thing is gushing, and Borscht have got to find some band-aids or something. get some gauze, wrap around, just try to find some way to just slow the roll of Scrumptious, because at this point they're rotating with such great impunity. It just doesn't seem like they can ever get their way. They're setting the tempo as well, so Borscht, especially when it comes to Rat Milk, I feel like, has really haven't been a spectator, quite literally, just watching from the sky. What's got to be a Thanatos' role in these fights when you're playing from behind?
You gotta be an execute bot. If you can't, it takes some level of trust from your team to be able to say, okay, focus one person, I'm gonna swoop in there, and then we're gonna take the fight from there. Let's try to focus Zapman. Let's try to maybe not try to focus Shinto. They've got Typhon's Fang, and notably on the side of Borscht, we have one Brawlers from the Thanatos who I'm asking to stay in the sky to swoop down and execute right now. So we got to start picking people off instead of taking these 5v5s.
You can't pick anyone. The only person getting caught in these open the gates is Shinto, and they're just going to use their ultimate to exchange, and their damage is good enough that they still don't feel like they're losing too much. Borscht just might be on the tap to lose everything. The cage going to capture in many. The Nagas are backing you up, but Haddix has got to back up themselves. Rivers Rebuke's going to capture the Hades, but he wants to be here. The Pillars of Agony find Zapman. This could be their chance. Borscht looking for the kill. The Hovering Death finds a stun onto Haddix, and now the Staff Slam might assure your life goes down. Bye, bye, bye. Shell. Haddix invested properly, and now the Finance Bros might be fighting back. Borscht do not want to pursue any longer. We'll take our one kill and go.
Borscht has the team comp to give them the ability of the counter engage. You have gods like Hades and Hecate that can say, okay, they are diving us under tower. Yeah, we're in an Odin ult, and that's not the most fun experience in the world. I'd rather be at Chuck E. Cheese, but what we can do is Pillar of Agony and Hecate ult to just either back up or pull everybody into a space and just dump what we can. They have Panda Cat on this Neath who could throw down weaves, they could explode, they have a lot of AoE damage if they can force people into the area, and then have Rat Milk. You saw that he wanted it too. The way that he was stanced in that last fight, he wanted it. He's getting aggressive to go in there and finish the job. The name of the game for Borscht at this point might be, how do we counter engage?
I don't think they serve Borscht at Chuck E. Cheese, but Scrumptious are making some off-menu orders. I do agree. We actually really did see in a lot of senses exactly what you asked for. Rat Milk, not necessarily an execute bot, but waiting for their moment instead of where we feel like before they were kind of opening the fight. It was already kind of chaotic at that point once they decided to enter in with their ult. And Scrumptious really just got a bit too overzealous there entering in that tower. You had the Naga buff, but they still weren't actually taking the tower for long enough, eating a lot of shots there that caused Scrumptious just get a bit too low for comfort. Now we're looking at these tier 2s. Only the mid and the right side remain. FG buff no longer on their waist, though. Scrumptious are going to have to wait a bit longer for this next objective dance. The question is, how do we make sure we get it just as easily as we did last time?
For Scrumptious, this Naga belt? Yeah, it's a belt. It's a belt and a buff. I'm coining it right now. Anybody who's watching, it's called a belf. From now on, Musiclan coined it. You're going to take that Naga belf, you're going to look at either this Ancient Gold Fury, or you're going to start up this FG, and then try to fight into Borscht a little bit, try to get a pick, or just pressure them away from the space. Use that Naga buff with your carries to take it while your tanks push people back. It's really fairly straightforward and simple stuff, but it works wonders. It's been working for years in professional Smite. I don't see why it wouldn't work now.
It's just going to be the same strategies with a new name, but it certainly is a nice and clean one. IFG coming right back up. Same objective, the new faces around it. Borscht trying to actually make a contestation. Bacchus looming around the backside. That could be the danger point, but Final K's received enough abuse already. Gonna remember back to that, gets a bit of PTSD, says, I think I'm gonna stick with you guys instead. Ancient Fury in the meantime, Zapman using that Belf to their advantage, just grabs that objective for free. This is gonna be even more royalties in the pocket of Scrumptious, just as we get some more music clans, because these belts are gonna be incredibly impactful. Purification already used, which means to open the gates might be dangerous enough. Not going to be the case. Another talisman gonna be able to get you to safety. Scrumptious having to retreat though. Borscht with that aggressive positioning, all their members still fully healed up. Only thing you've lost there is that ult from Pagon.
And that is exactly what we need to see from Zapman, as Haddix taking some poke here. Borscht not ready to give up any space, saying, get out of my lawn, kid. This is my FG pit, until all of your friends show up, and then, we'll have an argument. But Zapman doing exactly what you need to do. Now, these minions pushing in while they argue around this Fire Giant buff can start putting pressure on that left side Phoenix.
This could be troublesome here for Haddix. Using that cage just felt a bit too much pressure. More so they just watch from outside. They go in looking for Rat Milk. What a turnaround. Nog finds the killing spree on their opposition. Open the gates used again, but the bead's going to be trooper on her. Keeps them alive for just a bit longer to get the basics off for Baskin to enable Shinto to take that kill in vengeance. 2 for 1 so far. Scrumptious with the upper hand of it, leaving Borscht to once again flee stage right. Get in the Riptides, dummy. We're going to try to go to this game 2 as soon as possible. Here comes Loki around the backside, eats a bit of damage, but the Assassinate might be enough to finish the job. Nog takes down Panda Cat for claim. The wrapped him up for Pagon as the killing sprees drop there for Shinto as well. Scrumptious take 4 delicious kills. It's only Fine OK left alive.
And a left side Phoenix, those minions pushing in, they have Ancient Fury ticking right now. Did you know that you only have 30 minutes? Mid Phoenix as well, Deelo. Things are not looking good.
You only have Fine OK here to stand up against it. You got a Sunder and a Dream, but I don't know if that's going to be enough this time around. They go with the leap, but bye. Shell. This Titan's going to be sent to hell in just a second. Game 1 goes to Scrumptious.
Holy cats. We saw it exactly as we thought it was going to play out. Making sure that you're able to confirm that Ancient Fury so that you have time and room to fight around that Fire Giant. Borscht got engaged on, but was too split up to be able to get that counter engage.
Yeah.
Rat Milk exploded. I don't know where Rat Milk went. He was there one moment, and then there was an Odin next to him and a dead body, glowy dust, and a feeling of vague sadness. Scrumptious, just the damage that they're putting out. They have their items online. They have so much gold ahead of Borscht, which means that they're going to have their Totem of Coups, Soul Reavers. That Loki has so much pen and so many yellow numbers happening there. It's going to be impossible to keep him down at that rate.
Now, I've got a question for you here. Just looking at the boards, we see some impressive numbers from both sides. I mean, I'm looking at Shinto, who I think play this Anubis incredibly well, making sure to use their ultimates at the right time for safety and for damage. Haddix, despite how upfront they were, was incredibly potent at staying alive, even in the midst of chaos. But what I'm looking at is, do we need to invest more in the Shell Pyramid scheme? I'm really not trying to just push this further, but is multi-level marketing the key?
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I'm a Shell believer. With as many walls and things that they have there and how much damage they can put out, you can definitely invest in some more shells. The trade-off there, though, is that I'm only seeing 1 Talisman of Purification. I really think we should have seen more. They have so much CC that you need to give your team that AoE cleanse. Without it, they're going to be in such a tough spot fighting characters that all have stuns. They all have potent CC. You have to respect that. And we see now what happens when you don't.
Also see what happens when you're rightfully cautious on the side of wrong. You gets the beads and the talisman. We talked about it before, how early they picked up this item. And we saw it in that fight. They first expended the selfish beads and then used the talisman for the entire team on the open the gates. It's great support play. It's wrong you recognizing, hey, you might call me paranoid, but I'm alive and you're dead and down a game. So fantastic work to the support. Just keep the rest of the team in mind while also making sure to value their own life. But we still got more games ahead of us, so don't you guys worry, and don't you guys go anywhere. Game 2 of Scrumptious versus Borscht coming at you after the break. Hello everyone, welcome back to Smite in the Sewer. We're looking a bit different here. Unfortunately, Hi-rez did need to appropriate the game to make sure that they can get both spectators in, and given the Smite spectate system, 2 slots were taken up. That's okay. We're still here, just looking a bit different. I'm Deelo, joined here once again by Musi Clan. Musi Clan, nice figure collection there you got in the background. We got Tess, Almighty, Eye in the Sky, and we got Scrumptious versus Borscht once again. It was a close match game 1. Hoping for the same thing this time around.
And already we're seeing some bans here. Scrumptious taking away that Baron Samity. Borscht taking away Hecate and opting to pick themselves up a Yamoja and Bacchus, while Scrumptious prioritizes Fenrir above all else.
That's interesting to see. We didn't have a Fenrir last time to play around. Now the puppy dog can step out of the pound into the limelight. Yamoja and Bacchus being on the same side is definitely a scary thing. With that space control, having that Intoxicate on your side, just drunkenly wandering through the waves, I don't think it's a good idea to go swimming after 3 shots of tequila. So hopefully not going to be paid too heavily back for that. Anubis, the pick once again here for Scrumptious. And the Odin is going to be returning back to Haddix's side, you got to imagine.
Fenrir and Odin put together is a sight to behold. Imagine walk with me in the mind, in the theater of the mind, Deelo. You're Bacchus, and you get caged by an Odin, so you flop out like, any normal Bacchus would. And then a Fenrir comes over and picks you up and then puts you back in the cage. That's not a fun experience for anybody, not just Bacchus, to have to deal with that. And now, back in the theater of the mind that we reside in, imagine there's an Anubis locked with you in that cage. The odds are certainly stacked against you. I'm loving these first initial picks that Scrumptious has. I see so much damage for objectives. We have space control with Odin ult, and we have a beads burner from Fenrir. Meanwhile, Borscht mulling over these next 2 picks. It's going to be a Neath, maybe Kukulkan? Shooting my shot. Don't make me look silly here, Borscht.
I mean, he's going to be shooting her shots too. I like the fact that Borscht, despite what you said, they are absolutely correct. Scrumptious have great tools. Yamoja, though, is one of them in game 1. And now you only have one big set of walls. Maybe bring in the Ymir. I'm just saying it could genuinely be a great tool to get that same wall-wall combination that caused so much trouble to Bacchus before. So if you want to try to lock down Fine, okay, that might just be the method. Loki, going to be the next pick. I mean, if you squint at it really hard and then close your eyes and then, punch your PC, it might look like a Kukulkan. So that's something to the name. Scrumptious now. Got to consider the next 2 picks.
Kind of looks like Kabrakan when you think about it.
You're right.
Widen him a bit,
And maybe a few protein shakes, some creatine in them real quick.
Get some lifts in there.
Just some reps of deadlifts. Scrumptious. Still got to figure out what they want to go with next. They don't have the Yamoja option. There's still a bit of flexibility in terms as well as where this Fenrir can go. Sasano's still on the table. What do you want to see picked up?
I would almost expect to see like an on her pick here. The CC Immune ultimate that he has gives him options to deal with Loki stun, Neath stun, Bacchus flop, those tools that Borscht has available. Similarly, we could see either Susano or Thanatos, now that he's available to be had in games, having an execute on your side against the 2 tanks that are Yamoja and Bacchus. Definitely a useful tool. But ultimately, it's going to come down to who can we abuse with this Fenrir. Fenrir is going to be a very important part of Scrumptious' team, what with Ragnarok and the other tools that he has available to him. He's got the Leap, he's got Brutalize. He gives his allies a lifesteal aura off of his Howl. There's so much going on there. So I would say I agree with you. Susano goes dummy here, and I would be surprised if Scrumptious didn't pick it up. For Borscht, though, Deelo, what are you thinking about the last pick over there? What's the missing puzzle piece for Borscht?
Neath going mid is a very frequent pick nowadays, especially with Hakata being banned, so you didn't have that option. And having that Neath ult in the mid lane is really nice to get that World Weaver over to one side or the other very quickly. You've got a Soul, who I think has genuinely been just a bit underrated lately. At the same time, that doesn't give you the most hard CC. It's a tough one. If you want to just go put Neath in the duo and then just get yourself Kukulkan, I wouldn't mind it. At the same time, the setup isn't quite the best. I think I'm going to stick with what I said before. Soul is going to be a decent option. I'd like to see that burn composition because Borscht having a hard time around those objectives. So getting that burn on your side could just be the way to counter it back as far as the macro goes.
Soul would actually be super good for Borscht. Pairs really well with Yamoja. I mentioned last game that Yamoja is able to give people that auto damage and attack speed, but Scrumptious opting for Mordred absolutely slipped my mind. I love this god, personal favorite of mine to play. Mordred offers to Scrumptious more setup for their Anubis, for their Fenrir, for their Odin with their ultimate, as well as the ability to just kill someone. Mordred with items like Soul Reaver. You have Glad Shield available to you. I screwed around with a little bit of Typhon's Fang.
Yeah.
It's big in there. And then there it is. There's the Kukulkan. Mordred is like New Age nausea for this god. It's gonna be all kinds of pressing fours on Team Scrumptious.
The Kukulkan did come. Spaghetti Noodle has arrived, just not on the side we maybe quite expected. Fenrir combination into Kukulkan is a tale as old as time. It's so simple to get a lot of single target damage off, but you just got to make sure the target is correct. Unfortunately, you handed that exact same bullet into the gun of your opponent, because now Borscht have locked in the Morgan. Honestly, I don't even know why I didn't think of this. It's a fantastic pick as well to respond to any Fenrir. Anytime you see the puppy dog, there's always the chance that we just double dog dare you right back.
Borscht just playing 4D chess right now. They are on another level. Locking in gods, locking in the best gods in the game with Fenrir and Kukulkan, and then watching Borscht go, oh yeah, those are good picks. Hey, gimme. And then say, yeah, now we have that too. They also have 2 Lokis, 2 Neathalts, 2 Yamoja walls. You're in the swimming pool of double Yamoja walls. Are we going to see it? Likely not, but you better believe that I'm going to pop off like you've never seen before if we do see that coming out from Team Borscht. So I'm kind of hoping that they do, if only for my entertainment.
I am a bit concerned because a Morrigan can be such a big thorn in the side. There's so many great targets here if you're not going to look for the Kukulkan or the Fenrir. Odin Cage, too. They can literally run the exact same composition idea that they had run against them prior, the double wall composition. And granted, they don't have the best circle abilities to follow it up right afterwards, but sometimes just separating one member can be the pivotal key. That being said, what is an interesting element of this is we have 2 mages, very traditionally, of course, can be brought to the mid. Where do you expect to see each of these gods actually wander?
The Morgan, I would almost expect to see in mid. I've seen Pagon play the Morgan in mid. I know that they're pretty comfortable with it. So having Panda Cat on that Neath makes a lot of sense. These are gods that these players are pretty familiar with. They're comfortable playing them. So I think we would expect to see something a little bit more what we're traditionally used to, but it's not out of the question if they were to switch it up. The Morgan is a strong ADC, and Neath is a strong mid laner. It's kind of a toss up as to where they want to put these pieces because they're so flexible.
But on the side of Scrumptious, they're the ones that really bear that interesting question as well of, Zapman, Shinto, what the heck are you guys going to do? It seems that Shinto's sticking with their old reliable. You can't blame them. They had a fantastic performance, but you know what that means? Kukulkan carry. Fantastic. That must be what all those Ks stand for. Carry, 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 of course. And now Scrumptious have some interesting kind of workarounds. What does a Kukulkan carry bring you? What's the upside? What's the down?
You get to sit there and farm and then go away. And also, you are right next to Gold Fury. You have Spirit of the Nine Winds available whenever we want to start that up. So I can understand seeing Zapman in this dual lane with the Kukulkan. I know we were sitting there talking about, like, man, I wonder where this Morgan is going to go. Actually slipped my mind that we didn't see the the double mage, just didn't register. I was like, yeah, Kukulkan's really good. Of course you pick him. What do you mean we need bow and arrows? No. It's fine. We're in Kukulkan
Just
town.
spit at him.
Yeah, just
And
do the thing.
that could just be their key. Look at, whoa, basket. All right. Didn't realize you have a game like that. Dude is stone cold sober. Probably not actually, as he takes another sip from his flask. Just I say that, come on, don't make me a liar. Maybe look for the double steal as well. Not good. Well, I say steal. It's his literal own jungle, but finders keepers, losers weepers. Scrumptious trying to get that pressure on the solo once again early. Seeing the pressure on the Pagon though too. I don't know, maybe it should have been a Morgan carry. That damage was rough.
But they do have the speed buff to get them out of the situation that they put themselves in. I'm pretty sure they were dead without it too. But now they have to lane with half a health bar and Shinto having a level over them. That's going to be a scary first few levels because it looks like Fenrir is lurking in this jungle as well.
Gonna be able to get that advantage there by grabbing that buff on the right side. Loki, a bit too late to the claim. This is gonna be Scrumptious trying to put their pressure on early, like they did before. We saw in that first game, the first opening minutes, the pressure and where it was allocated. Scrumptious to the right, and Borscht to the duo. Do we expect the same thing to happen this time around?
So the matchups in solo are a little bit different this time around, so I wouldn't expect to see Scrumptious put too much on to Haddix. Haddix definitely has a lead here, but Borscht
might just lose it right after using that leap. That is unfortunate. The Dancing Blades right afterwards. Don't have a shell. You do have a Raven Shout, but unfortunately you've been silenced. Rat Milk gets that first blood.
And that is exactly what I expect to see. Because Odin is so powerful in the solo lane, his ability to clear wave, he has 3 abilities that just put out so much damage. He has a stun that can interrupt the Bacchus Belch. Bacchus does have flop, so he can flop around the Odin jump, the Raven Shout, but Gungir's Might is just a strict counter to the Belch. He starts belching, you either just kind of hang out, or if you start charging up Gungir's Might, you just throw it at him.
There's a lot of great solutions, and one of them can be try to counter it back by getting a kill over here on the left side. Panda Cat taken out there by Nog. Riptide is going to bury them at C. Seems like Gungir's Might again here, just really charging it up. He's ready. And he's unfortunately not quite practiced enough. You know, that's okay. Get back in the range. You'll get it next time. Olympics are next 4 years, right? We got time.
Yeah. They've got some time before everything starts. Deelo.
Yes.
They bought in. Have you noticed?
Oh my God! Multi-shovel marketing. Buy, shell for the low price of 1 shell. You too can be like Zapman. That is actually crazy. They've sold their souls.
Well, we need to see Talisman of Purifications yesterday, because there is no CC immunity happening here. You do have characters. All right, hold on. Let me addendum here. Meanwhile, in this mid lane, Shinto taking so much damage.
Take back your addendum. He's going to die in a second. Shinto manages to barely get away with a sliver, just trying to prove us all wrong. At the very least now has an ultimate pocket that CC immunity, at least inherent in the kit, will be very useful. That is a crazy switch up. The moment they see walls on Borsch's side, and you know, to be fair, Musi, it makes sense. They know better than anyone the power of those player-made obstacles.
And you highlighted actually perfectly what I wanted to say. They have CC immunity in their kit. Their ultimates. They can trade ult for ult with the members of Borscht. So Shell becomes incredibly useful when you can delay the need for the purification. Now, you can just sit there with double health bars effectively, as well as reducing basic attack damage from characters like Neath and even Bacchus, who likes to weave in autos against his lane partner. It's very handy.
Handy as well as the fact that Scrumptious have really not been able to put too much pressure in the jungle. We're seeing a bit of poke, but what's going to be following it up? The jungle on the right side's already been cleared. That 1 kill from Loki on top of Haddix really did put a big stutter in their step. Looking at it now, about 5 minutes into this game, 1-1 reads the scoreboard, but a nice 1,000 gold lead. That's just what happens when Scrumptious can't quite have their way and take all the buffs from both sides of the map.
Borscht doing a really good job picking their fights to give them the maximum amount of efficiency in terms of camp clearage, of gold thieving, even denying camps from Scrumptious so that they can't even remotely profit off of them. But we're now hitting that 5-minute mark. Gold Fury is spawning, and Fenrir is in their jungle.
This is a bit dangerous here, puppy dog. Are you lost? The pound might be picking you up in a second, but wrong you. Not going to be in the wrong neighborhood. Just gets right back to safety in the waiting arms of their jackal friend. Question is, of course, objectives. Now we have a different kind of look at the battlefield. You have Shinto and Zapman with a crazy ultimate combo to not only burn but secure. But Borscht, of course, have some damage on their own side, having the traditional Panda Cat Neath on this Hunter. Who do we think's got the edge, and how do we expect to see it play out as members start to gather around?
Scrumptious's objective confirm in Kukulkan is incredibly strong. It is very, very, very powerful. The ability to throw away Spirit of the Nine Winds to deal massive damage and just say, hey, this is mine now. But Borscht does have a Sunder.
Again.
Again. And it could work in their favor this time, try to take it away from a Kukulkan, but I still very firmly believe that Kukulkan is the stronger confirmer here. So Scrumptious, in my eyes, should have an advantage around this Gold Fury.
And of course, Google's confirm allows you to just kind of do it from way back when. And that's kind of what we've seen. It's exactly what you predicted. This left lane has really seen no action. The support's left because they just knew it was going to be a snooze fest. Haddix might be snoozing in a second. Bye, bye, bye. Shell, shell, shell. Invest now, and you too can survive an ethos like this. Hey, Haddix! Never mind, you're dead. Pagon hits him with the, wasn't the after shot there? I don't even know what got him. Oh my god! It was the Morgan Changeling. This gun's got multiple rounds in the chamber. Bop, bop. He goes down.
That the classic 1-2 punch. The Morgan showing off that yes, I hit level 5 and now we have double global alt presence. We don't have to kill you in a lane. We just have to get you around a quarter health. Shell cannot save you from the might of Sands of Time and Book of Thoth. Pagon copying Panda Cat's homework there with the similar builds.
It's working out well for you. It is a strategy that does see less effectiveness once these fights become more condensed. You don't have that time to see everyone decide to charge up, neatly line up their targets, but it's great for Borscht. It's continuing to put pressure on Haddix, who, like we said before, was surviving for far too long in these fights, and it's enabling your Bacchus, which, despite being on a different role last game, still was not able to provide that presence we needed to see. Loki's showing some presence here once again on his right side. It's going to leave it alone as Scrumptious. Going to try to grab this Queen Naga for themselves. Could be pretty useful when it comes to this next Fury fight, which could be coming at any moment.
Tornado plus Plague of Locusts equals Dead Naga. You may have the Belf. And with this Gold Fury in the eyes of Scrumptious, it is a possibility that they can do it now with the little Naga buddies to help tank. They could start looking at it if they want to, but first, I would wager they need to try to kill at least one, maybe all of them.
Ooh, this might be a rough spot. The moment you take a step out of your towers, that man realizes it's a scary world out there, but a nice Zephyr forces them off. Another warning shot says, hey, get back. I got way more rounds in the chamber than that. Fenrir, maybe trying to show him something as well. Makes the rotation. Now Kukulkan feeling emboldened with their puppy dog friends. Steps few more outside their own base. Wrong you waiting in the wings. You gotta try to mow the grass. There's snakes in there. There's puppy dogs too. The Moonstrike gonna force them out. Nice job there to reveal the danger. Now Wrong you recognizing no real way to actually get the drop on him. In fact, Loki might be doing the exact same thing. And now Wrong you staying in there. They already know you're there, buddy. You might as well just back it off. Scrumptious trying to get some ganks off, but unfortunately return with their paws empty.
Just doing a good job not getting caught out there. Wrong you playing a dangerous game of chicken by standing next to FineOK, who has the ability to fling him around any which way they really so choose. But Fenrir is a god that has a lot of mobility, so they'll be able to stay safe for now. But this Loki that's still kind of hanging around here could spell trouble.
Some damage raining down on top of the Emoja. Not too much Ohm in pocket means could be a bit of a spot, but that being said, they're just going to let it go. There's been a lot more passive play lately. Now we're seeing some aggression here in the solo side. There's one shot. There's the second one. Oh my god. One round goes first. Baskin's like, all right, man, we got him. Haddix says, I can take it. It's that enemy in the movie that thinks they can just keep walking, then a second bullet, a third one, a fourth, and they finally go down. Haddix needs to buy some bulletproof vests.
It's a 10-4 apricot, take the shot, bam, bam! Like, what are you supposed to do? Well, peep this, right? The Odin doesn't have physical protections. They have a Genji's guard. And now Scrumptious, though, looking at this Gold Fury.
Bro, invest in some Kevlar or something, and maybe this Gold Fury could be the first way to do it. Gonna be declared there. No, Panda Cat says, you get nothing today. Go back home and beg next time. Scrumptious have to wander back with Haddix on their shields, and also their bellies empty. No more items for you.
The Kukulkan just off the mark. Panda Cat walking up, completely based. Not a care in the world says, oh, you got a Gold Fury low for me? Thanks, champ. Nom. Holy cats. Well, if you're Scrumptious right now, you're trying to think, what is my game plan going forward here? How are we supposed to do this? My solo laner is getting shotgunned by 2 Neaths on the field, and we can't even control a Gold Fury with a Kukulkan. If you're Borscht, you're singing happy songs and doing a little dance.
If you're Scrumptious, you're saying, Shinto, can you stop that, like, son of a gun? They just keep shooting me in the face, and you're just kind of letting it happen. You gotta imagine that probably Pagon's at a safe spot when it's happening, but the lack of pressure here in the mid lane just gives all that space open for Pagon just to practice their form. And they've clearly been to rifle training. They are ready to join the Navy SEALs. At this point, Scrumptious might have Haddix ready to join the Grayscale again. Loki lurking in the right side, decides to back off. Might re-enter in just a moment here. The danger looming once again. There's backup on the way, but will it come in time? Pursue the Weak finds 2 targets. That's a good start to it. But the will of bullets come. Haddix knows he's got a target on his back. It's going to be the Assassinate that rains down. Leaps out from the Rivers of Rebuke. Going to be enough damage bringing in from the Fenrir. Jaws closing around their neck. And the Book of Life might close right afterwards. Decent damage, and it's going to be enough. Rat Milk gets slurped up by Zapman. This fight's quickly turned its head. It's better than 9 wins. The winds of change have blown, and they've blown Final K right back over. Bacchus takes one last sip for their homies before they will inevitably fall as well. 3 kills here for Scrumptious, dropped in the solo lane.
And meanwhile, in this mid lane, Pagon scoops himself up a tier 1 mid tower to at least lessen the gold difference from what just happened. And PandaCat likewise scooping up a tower there as well. So the question is, was that worth it? I mean, you get to put some pressure on the map, but at the cost of your whole team. But there's no Gold Fury. There's no Pyromancer. There's no Fire Giant. Scrumptious doesn't have a whole lot that they can do off of that except take the tier 1 tower and right. So it definitely could be worse if you're Borscht. Or if you're
absolutely correct. Because looking at the board, 13 minutes, 4-3, Scrumptious take the kill board in the lead. That feels good. But what doesn't feel good is the itemization difference, and we're seeing it here with the gold. About 3,000 or so still in favor of Borscht. And of course, it's partially because of that Fury, but it's also because of that heads-up play, recognizing, hey, we can't get kills here, let's get towers. Might get kill right here, though. Fine, okay. Trying to portal their way back to safety. The Riptides give them enough space. But that certainly was a dangerous look there. I'll try to find some danger here for the Fenrir instead. Queen Naga up for the claim for the part of Borscht. Now here comes the laser show. Decent damage there dropped on top of Pagon. They say, get out of that Neath costume. We know who the real enemy is. And they're going to take down the Morgan. Finally, some vengeance for our friend Haddix.
Haddix has got shooters in the mid lane. Thank goodness for him. Light flashing before their eyes. And it's not even over in this mid lane. Holy.
Rivers Rebuke going to separate the fight. Bye. Shell. We're seeing those investments really pay their dividends because now the fight's completely flipped on its head. Having to back off his Rat Milk. Moonstrike not going to find the back of Shinto, but they, with a great stun, put Bacchus in their place. They're trying to follow them to the ends of the earth there. Going to be a bit more health necessary from that lifesteal. The good cage stalls them out just a bit longer. Scrumptious just happy with the poke they wrought. Want to make sure that they don't lose any members. Using a lot of ultimates, but at the very end of the day, no one dies.
If you are Borscht, or if you are Scrumptious in that scenario, that's just what you want. Being able to get away, stopping Bastion from putting pressure on you. Pagon, the body block of a lifetime, defending that
Nice.
Pyromancer. Haddix not able to do anything there. But, check it out! Scrumptious on the other side of the map, starting up this Gold Fury.
They're learning from their opponents. Where you are, we are not going to be. They're just going to be grabbing the other objective on the other side. Gold Fury goes down, gets that pip evened up. That's honestly pretty nice. As far as Pyromancer bombs go, sure, it's going to be useful when this Fire Giant crops up, but that's not for a bit longer. We're actually going to see those dances happen. So Scrumptious is probably pretty happy with that. Can start to try to close this gold dividend. We got a bit of a lull in the combat here. Any items as far as the builds we're looking at that catch our eye?
So, notably right now, Fenrir doesn't have Talisman of Purification, and I'm going to harp on every support that doesn't have it online by the 15-minute mark. Like, come on. Let's get it. Build it. Stonks are up. You need Shell, you need Talisman, but I love this Curse Donk to help deal with the sustain that Final K is giving his team with Yamoja.
I think Talisman feels bad maybe when it's really going to be Pagon turning into the Fenrir that's going to be actually using it for. And we're seeing a Fenrir here, the real one. Grabs back a little Bacchus. Might want to share that wine with everyone back. They seem awfully thirsty. Maybe for blood, though, instead of alcohol. Haddix takes down Baskin. Going to be a nice pursue of the week right down into the winds. Pagon gets absolutely plastered. Great 2 kills there, dropped once again in the solo.
It's new age, new look at this. Shinto looking for even more in this mid lane.
Oh, but the Rivers Rebuke blocks them. They can't even see past it. It's going to be good, though. The basic goes through the wall, I guess. PandaCat dies either way. It does not matter. With that, Fenrir bearing the escort mission to ensure that Shinto gets back to safety without an issue. Scrumptious are now certainly putting their claim on some dominant pressure across the map.
And this Anubis has finished their Typhon's Fang at this point. Pair that with a Gem of Focus. They have so much cooldown. They have mobility because of movement speed. And they're going to live forever unless you start getting some anti-heal online. Again, I don't see any Ruinous Venoms on the side of Borscht when you're fighting characters like Mordred and Anubis and Fenrir, who gives his team lifesteal. It's not something you can just discount. You gotta try to find room in the build for that.
It's unfortunate to see at this mark, and now 17 minutes in, we're seeing 8-3. Things are starting to get heated up. It's all even in terms of the gold, which is a mark of Borscht's ability to really not necessarily need those kills. They're coming on the targets that count. Actually, in fact, I think all three have been on poor Haddix. That's gotta feel a bit rough. Can someone else please die so I don't feel so bad? Fenrir gonna try to make this Morgan be the next one for that death count, the laser show. Not gonna do quite enough damage just yet. Now, Rongyu could be the one in a bit of trouble, as well as Shinto, that Moonstrike, keeping them in place for a bit longer. Zapman finds their kill on a Bandicat. Shinto follows it up on a Rat Milk, but Scrumptious are looking quite low. But bye, bye, bye. Shell. Bye, bye, bye. Fine, okay, you're... Shinto gonna put their life for the claim.
Time to buy anti-heal. That Anubis lived way too long. Way too long. They should have been dead a long time ago. They have Typhon's Fang. They have their passive. You need to buy it. You need to buy it right now. They've got stonk shells. You need to start investing into some anti-heal, or that's gonna play over again and again. Fire Giant is spawned as well at this point, and Scrumptious absolutely gonna want to start standing around that.
The Pyromancer has arrived.
You can see them now grouping up around this Pyromancer, actually. And the members of Borscht aren't quite in the area. You can see Final K lurking around. That Pyromancer's at about half. Throws the ability out, a couple in a stun there, but Zapman does have the ult confirm from Kukulkan. In order to make it happen, Spirit of the Nine wins. When you can time it correctly, it does wonders for you. Now Scrumptious, in a bit of a winning position, they want to try to find something in this solo lane. Haddix in a bit of a position here. You can see Shinto as well, able to push away the members of Borscht in that mid lane, confirm themselves a little bit of gold. Gold Fury respawning here as 2 means that they could potentially earn themselves another pip. And Borscht looking at this Naga.
It could just be their chance. Back in
It
it.
could.
I mean, why not? Grab some objectives for your side, too. It doesn't really feel good when Scrumptious has been having this streak, and they're looking to continue it here, Musi. Everyone on Borscht is on the right side, and unfortunately, there's just nothing really there to gain for it. They just shrug their shoulders and say, all right, I guess they can have it. Scrumptious get themselves a second Fury, and now at this point, the lead really is starting to spiral out of control. Borscht, they had the minutes of the early game to their side. Is this just what the comp is fated to suffer? Are they just not going to scale as well, or do they have tools they can enable to ensure that they stay in this game?
Scrumptious's comp scales incredibly well into the late game with characters like Anubis and Kukulkan. Pair that with Fenrir, it'll be difficult to deal with. However, you do have Pagon on the Morgan. No matter how well Scrumptious can scale, Pagon's right there to scale with them for at least a short time during that ultimate. Rat Milk Loki does ridiculous amounts of damage in the late game. We could expect to see him really start popping off.
Well, seeing that at least the Fenrir is starting to do so, there's going to be a Purification forced out there on the side of Rongyu. And that's going to be a nice cage as well. Keeping Pagon in nice and close, like trying to look for the last bits of damage, pursue the weak. They smell blood in the water, and the water's been dropped as well. Pagon's going to go to the first one to go down. Shinto trades their life for it. This fight's been dehumidified and might be the Odin up next. Shells are going to be keeping them alive for just a bit longer. We're just playing the decoy at this point. Your field of vision's been a bit narrowed, but Fenrir's only got eyes there for the low health members in the back line. Zapman trades their life for the Emoja. At this point, only one still who does not maybe not want to be here any longer is Baskin. This is going to be trying to keep around the rest of the team. Scrumptious. Okay with that 2v2. At the very least, Borscht, don't lose this fight too heavily. Means this FG is not going to be up for claim for a bit longer.
At this stage, a fight that Borscht doesn't lose is a fight that they've won. Because you're not giving more to the lead of Scrumptious. Being able to kill Zapman there, as well as Shinto, very, very important. That's going to give you the gold that you need to start buying more items and put the fear of God into these mages. Ratmilk doing an excellent job sneaking around that backside, picking off the low health Zapman to ensure that his team members don't suffer anymore from that tornado.
I mean, Ratmilk, we are indeed back. Seems like we got a bit of a pause cooking up here. That's A-okay. Ratmilk definitely is picking things up, and that's really necessary to see, because we talked about that Thanatos just wasn't quite the move, wasn't quite getting things going. Who's the assassination target? At this point, we can't see the assassination from long pace. It's got to be up close and personal. It's knives and daggers in the dark, no longer guns from 10 paces. Who do you think the Loki's got to go for to ensure they get maximum value from their abilities?
It's going to be Kukulkan. Kukulkan is going to be the god that is going to put out so much damage from a distance. It's their objective confirmer. It's their follow-up off of these Mordred ults that they know that you can see it. They're very proficient. They practice it in the training labs. They know how to make it happen. So Zapman's got to be the target. You got to kill Zapman. I would say try to go after the mid laner, try to take down that Anubis, but that is easier said than done when they have as much sustain as they do, both in their kit and in the items that they're building. Zapman feels a little bit more likely of a takedown.
It's so funny to see like a Goobus. It's like, yeah, surely they're the vulnerable target, right? No, not at all, especially when you're augmented further by those shells. I love the way, we haven't really got to talk about it. We, of course, memed on the 5 shells because it's funny, but at the same time, it's freaking scary, especially when you consider the fact of how good Scrumptious are of spreading them out across the time. Because you want to make sure you're saving them for the walls, not just the damage. So they make sure they always have at least a couple in their pockets. And the way they're grouping, they make sure they get the maximum efficacy from it too.
And that is very well done by the members of Scrumptious to be able to practice around that and play around that. Because, like you said, walls denied, health bars added, and then you're also staying in group for the items like Talisman of Purification that I will never stop talking about for literally ever. It's
for good reason.
Good. Buy it now, like for good reason. It's so good. So keep your team grouped up. You fight so much better when you're grouped up together. It's like an Ouroboros. It like eats into itself. This is good because it does this, and that's good because of the other thing, and so on and so forth.
Scrumptious now trying to look for the next meal, which could be the FG, but also could just be this Yamoja. Fine, okay, is anything but wiped away by the Wombo combo, bringing them back a nice little dog treat for you. FG still being leashed here, but Borscht do not want to let it go for free. You have Nog going in offensive. The Javelin just a bit wide right. Still need to get back in your Olympian training. So now Nog could be in a bit of trouble as well. Then Toxic finds 3 targets, and here come the shells to follow. Nog gets taken out there by Ratmilk. Here comes the cavalry to assist your Bacchus in arms. He's going to be able to get out to safety. Scrumptious need to do the exact same thing because they're starting to have the noose tightened around their neck. Pagon, recognizing that maybe the rest of the team doesn't have the same bloodlust, has to back off. But it's a good fight from Borscht, when it at first looked hopeless.
And Borscht doing well to tie up this game here. And like we said, every fight that isn't a win for Scrumptious, it is a win for Borscht because they get a chance to lower or lessen that gap. Being able to survive the dive in from Nog is good. Being able to respond by killing him is the difference between winning and losing. It's going to deny Fire Giant for Scrumptious. It's going to buy you time to mount your counteroffensive, to buy more items, to put yourself back into a winning position. Loki is starting to get their items online now. We have a Titan's Bane. We have a Heartseeker. The Morrigan has Soul Reaver online to go with the massive amount of cooldown that is in Chronos Pendant and Soul Gem. Neath has Last Gasp along with that Soul Reaver. Late game, big ticket items are being formed, and it's going to help you so much in these fights.
What doesn't help Scrumptious either is this double mage composition. It's fun, it's wacky, it's kooky. You can't use in-hands to really bait out an FG. There's no threat without committing cooldowns that Borscht know that you need to actually fight the real players that matter. So Scrumptious have to really bluff their hand to even make it seem like they're going for it if they're not going to use things like Grasping Hands. That, yes, short cooldowns, of course, same on the Whirlwind, but you want to make sure that it's immediately ready in pocket for when Borscht begin their dive. And that dive coming this time from Ratmilk, or at the very least to save your own backline, so crucial. We're seeing that contribution we need to see in Game 1. It's coming here. Scrumptious deciding just to leave the FG for maybe a little later time. Looking for picks instead. It's going to be Rongu going aggressive. We're looking for Panda Cat. Gets their jaws around, but a nice talisman by FineOK saves when the waves secure their life as well. Haddix goes aggressive. They still want kills. Cages in no one but your own team. Nog says, what are you doing? We're going out of here. We cannot survive any longer. Nog going to be the first one to prove it. Panda Cat takes them down. A bit of revenge there for the Neath. Scrumptious. It all turns against them.
And Borscht is going to start looking at this Pyromancer as well, if they can. I mean, Haddix is in the area, Zapman as well, and they do have ultimate available, so trying to out-secure a Kukulkan with a Morrigan or a Neath is not always the... It's a difficult task, but there from Scrumptious, we saw them get a little too aggressive there. If they backed off right after the, I'll call it the failed ult from Rongu, where they managed to get the Talisman of Purifications, that would have been a great time to walk away. Be like, okay, trade ult for Tally. That has a low, your ult has a lower cooldown, so we just back up, we re-engage when we can. But it almost felt like a little bit of frustration from Haddix and from Scrumptious and Nog as they try to get even more.
I gotta agree. After the rebuke came up, you just gotta accept the waves. Let them wash over you, a bit of skin care, get some moisturizer, then back off. Haddix, though, not obliging until eating some more poke. Look at that, already brought down to about 3/4, and that's gonna be pivotal. Borscht have those in hands. They can burn this FG without really costing themselves too much. Just gonna throw a javelin against the wall in frustration. Haddix is just not having their day. They're looking to try to go in and make them pay instead. Grasping Hands, find a bit of damage. Gungear's might, though. Unfortunately, you're no longer mighty at all. Panda Cat takes them down within their own cage. River's Rebuke going to enforce the shells. They'll pursue the weak, though. It's going to Tokyo drift through some walls, why don't you? Scrumptious once again on the back half of another pick. And Borscht now looking to dedicate their resources toward this FG. Scrumptious have got to step up, and they've got the members to do it. They've got 3 diamonds full on their chain. Nog looking to lead the charge. FG brought down to about half health. There's the ult from Pagon. They're looking to just try to find some more kills. It might be Nog they look for first. They drop their kit before they go down. There's the spare of the 9 wins, but it's dodged by everyone. Nog can't dodge this Loki. Those blades be dancing, and they're 2-tapping on your corpse. Zapman gets brought back in. Nice chew toy by thanks for the Fenrir. Ratmilk gonna go down in trade, and that means this FG might not be as tenable any longer. Scrumptious, the worst half of the fight, but still managed to back them off the objective.
What I'm gonna say, I'll call it a very interesting move from Haddix in the beginning there. I couldn't tell you what the thought process there was, but we need to lessen those types of plays if we want to see a victory. Scrumptious is getting a little antsy, I think. They want to feel that kind of confidence that they had in the beginning of the game. They had control, now they're slowly losing it. I think that the fact that they don't have a hunter, like you said, to try to bait out these objectives, they have to use abilities to commit, it's kind of biting them in the butt a little bit. And now they're just trying to, they're getting shifty, they're getting antsy, they want to find something. They still don't have anti-heal Deelo. This Anubis has their Typhon's Fang online. They have a totem there as well. Screeching Gargoyle is some saucy tech from Yamoja, shuts off Brutalize. Borscht is doing very well to kind of maneuver themselves into a winning position through the items that they're building and just kind of switching up the playstyles. They know, hey, if we just stand here long enough, they're going to come for us, and then we counter-engage and kill them.
They're definitely not winning the objective battle in terms of that trade we just saw. Ancient Fury does go down for Scrumptious in trade for Borscht taking that Pyro. To be fair, Scrumptious aren't in the best position really to actually force the issue around these structures quite just yet. So at the very least, not suffering too much for that. We're really all just focused on this Fire Giant once again. It's what you mentioned before, Musi. Both of these last fights from Scrumptious, they just look a bit frustrated. They look a bit too eager to get their hands on some kills, and instead they're the ones who are being sacrificed. And at the very least this time, they make sure to back off in time. Rongyu using everything in his kit to ensure he's with the rest of the wolf pack. Question is then, if that initiation can't come too overzealously, where does it come from? Might just be around this FG. Is once again Borscht beginning in earnest. You have those in hands. It's a great way just to force some action here from Scrumptious, and if you can just get them on tilt once again, get them to tilt their hand into the fountain potentially. Borscht now just trying to wrap around, but Hi-rez will not be fooled again.
And Nog and Rongyu don't have ult for this engagement either. Meanwhile, Borscht has 4 ultimates available, and Baskin, his ult's going to be up fairly soon, so there's less tools in Scrumptious' court.
Trying to just use those tools to maneuver around. Rongyu's playing it safe. So is Hi-rez. Look at the health bars. They're learning. I like these adaptations from Scrumptious. Will it result in some delicious kills? Only one way to find out, as we see Borscht just deciding to back off. They recognize this is a new Scrumptious we're playing against. They're not quite so battle hungry. I'm liking these adjustments. It's forcing Borscht now to maybe consider how they can approach it, because if they tilt their hand too early, they might get smacked as well.
Both teams are dancing around this Fire Giant. You can see there's a big ol' minion wave over on the left side, taking away the tier 2 tower from Scrumptious. Even though Scrumptious was able to confirm that Ancient Fury from before, they're not benefiting from it as much as Borscht's minion waves. Those Minotaurs will do more than take a chunk from the towers.
Trying to do some chunks to Rongyu here once again, but immediately turning tail and running. I'm loving this patient play now from Scrumptious. They recognize they've got a bit more to gain from just keeping things slow, mellowing the tempo a bit. Rongyu maybe getting a bit pissed off about that spear they took to the face. They go in aggressive, trying to find Pagon, and they'll get the kill for it, but the Mode Strike right after might put them in their place. Rongyu taken down for trade. Spirit of the Nine Winds has already been expended. Hi-rez going offensive to avenge their puppy dog in arms. Looking for the leap maybe onto this Loki, but that slow immunity means they're going to get out without any big issues. So will Baskin, thanks for that Floppus. A nice root, though. Nice stun as well. The damage raining down. Tornado blocks your path. You got nowhere to go but back home to the fountain the hard way. Use that Sunder. I'll eat it up like breakfast. Scrumptious take a nice 2 kills in exchange for the life of Rongyu.
Forcing out Rat Milk there means that there's nobody to
Rongyu,
check
is that you?
Zapman. Rongyu? Yeah, he's that. Can you hear him? Hear him in the background? That's their battle cry. That's their war cry. They're feeling really excited. But nobody is there to check Zapman once Rat Milk has to leave the fight. That gives Scrumptious the opportunity to clean up immediately after.
Just really great play there on the part of Scrumptious to keep things slow, keep it mellow. Rongyu goes in. I had a bit of worry that it was a bit too early. Ended up finding the right target. Pagon being the one they focused their attentions on was so wise, and it instantly resulted in that fight just being very untenable for Borscht. Now FG picked up on their side. Baskin's down for 10 more seconds, and though they're not the biggest damage dealer, they do certainly tank quite a bit of the damage coming here from Scrumptious. FG unleashed once again. Scrumptious didn't quite feel confident enough to actually fully rip the wheel away. That means that Borscht can live to fight another day, because Bacchus is back.
And as Scrumptious starts looking at this Pyromancer, Borscht wants to try to do something about it. Oh, fine, okay!
That is a huge waves, but that's okay, because Rongyu can just jump right over it. Hi-rez doesn't have the exact same luxury. Eat some damage for it. That looked good, but they got the wrong targets. They got the wrong you. That leap is going to be just immediately pivotal to just counter it out. Borscht say, all right, enough is enough. We're getting this gosh darn FG. What are you going to do about it, Scrumptious? It seems that they've got eyes on the prize. It's Odin going in. The cage traps too, but now you're trapped in there with them. The leap to counter. Hi-rez needs to get back to their friends quick. They can't. See them in heaven, maybe, because Rongyu's about to be sent there themselves as well. Shell gives them a bit more sustain, but now they're turning back, just watching as everyone dogpiles on Anubis. They go out in a blaze of glory. Panda Cat's gonna go out first, though. Should have got anti-heal. Nog says you should have gotten a better support. Final K goes down right before they're taken for trade. Double kill there for Baskin. 3 for 2 in favor of Borscht.
with the momentum of taking away that Pyromancer, they immediately start looking at Fire Giant, and we see it again. Haddock's getting really antsy, and the members of Scrumptious go, well, we gotta answer this, right? We gotta do something about it. And they just overextend again. But look at Zapman sitting next to this Ancient Fury.
This is your time to shine, Kukulkan, but with no Spirit of the Nine wins, it makes it a bit more tricky. Just drops the tornado, and that's enough deterrence. Zapman, job done, whistling a nice merry tune, goes back to farm some.
And now we find ourselves back in this position where Scrumptious and Borscht, it's just this game of tug of war, both teams looking for the ideal scenario of how do we find the winning move? Clearly, you can't get away with just killing a couple of them. It's got to be a team wipe at this point, Deelo. You need to be able to take down Zapman. You got to be able to take away Shinto. We need anti-heal. Borscht, please, I'm begging you. They still haven't built any yet. We saw the direct repercussions in that last fight. Panda Cat died because Anubis lived.
I thought Shinto was dead. I absolutely thought Shinto was dead without getting even a say back. But no, they backhand Panda Cat on the way out before going out like an absolute G. So Shinto here is just going to keep that energy going. If Borscht aren't going to try to counter you, fine. Don't put respect on my name. I'll make you pay for it when we sweep you 2-0. Borscht have got to find an answer to this. And if it's not going to be anti-heal, it's got to be more focused fire a bit earlier. For Scrumptious, the answer is Haddock's. Just get them on a bit of a shorter leash. Maybe take the one off Wrong You and wrap it around the Odin's neck.
Hey, if Haddock's has been doing, I'll say, at least a good job of getting these fights started, surely.
Yes.
We just need to make sure these fights start a little bit closer to our team, like you said. Let's make sure that we have that leash so that we can follow up with these jumps. Look at it. It's in his eyes, dude. You can see he wants to jump in there. Look at him.
Salivating, licking his chops while Bacchus tries to step up. Haddock's goes in there, gets the spear fine. It's not going to do too much damage, and they have to retreat back before they eat too much poke as well. Have to imagine Scrumptious saying, hey, boy, heal, get back here. Haddock's is going to listen. Borscht, once again with the aggressive positioning around this pit. Do they decide to full rip it once again to bait Scrumptious in with something? And the question then, of course, is, does Haddock's decide to leap in with Wanton Abandon? Morgan's waiting behind the door for her grand entrance, and that could just be the trump card, the ace in the hole they play. Nog's doing the same thing, says, all right, so you come here often? Gonna look for him, ring around the rosy, not gonna find a mark. Does get one target in the back while Zapman finds the target on the basket with the Spirit of the Nine wins. Romgu goes above. We're looking for Pagon here, baby. You're coming to party. You're gonna party in the grave. Shinto gets put down for trade by Rat Milk, but they're taken down right afterwards. Romgu's barely left alive. Fine, okay. Might just be the next one up. No, it's Haddock's up in the front lines trying to finish the job. They won't be granted the luxury. This time, a trade goes the way of Scrumptious. It's 3 for 1.
Holy Pentashell, Batman, you have never seen health bars go up and down so quickly. Shinto, again, living way longer than they realistically should be for a god so immobile. Put some respect in the lifesteal, my lord. Scrumptious now has a leg up on this Fire Giant, and I wouldn't be surprised if they try to start up and confirm it.
They don't have Shinto. That is pivotal. You have Zapman. That diamond's starting to charge up, and now it's full. The winds are blowing, and it might just take Borscht right over. You've got the Emoji trying to step up. You have to pursue the weak, forcing Neef back, forcing the bead, forcing them into the grave. Haddock's is here, and that aggression's well placed. Panda Cat goes down. Cats and dogs, me oh my, so much damage. Fine, okay. Gets taken out there for being held in place by Wrong You's jaws. FG finally put up for the claim. It's oh so scrumptious.
What a delicious victory feast for Scrumptious here, taking home the cake, the pie, the turkey. It's a Thanksgiving miracle. We are eating so good. How many food puns can I fit in one sentence? You sit here and watch me, Borscht. Scrumptious is gonna do it too. Oh, it is time for the Scrumptious push on to these lanes. We are finally moving past the point of let's dance around Fire Giant. Now we're gonna get in our car and drive right up to these Phoenixes. Borscht has no tier 2s save for the one in right lane, and with this Ancient Fury on the dinner table, it's only going to get harder for Borscht going forward.
You say Thanksgiving, I say it's Halloween. We're going trick-or-treat. We're knocking door to door. Gold Furies first, then we're rocking it right to these Phoenixes. And that's not just any Fury, it's an ancient one. And that means not only king-size candy bars, but these structures are not going to be doing as much damage. Now, Borscht, they're no longer the aggressors. They are clearly on the defensive end. What is their hope to stay alive?
At this point in time, it's the same strategy. We just have to execute a little bit better. Rat Milk needs to kill Zapman. That is A1. Spirit of the Nine Winds is decimating in these team fights, and Zapman is not afraid to just let them rip. Maybe take some of the damage that we're putting onto Haddix, try to focus that to some of the squishies. Bacchus has got to get on top of Anubis. He has anti-heal in the belt. It's your only anti-heal on the team. Let's use it. Let's make sure that if we're going to try to take down Goober, we gotta have all the tanks in a row, but this left side Phoenix is looking pretty low.
This could be rough lookings. The Whirlwind's cutting off attention from that right side. Fenrir's gonna bring you back a little chew toy. What'd you get me, buddy? A nice kill on Fine. Okay, that's what Shinto takes that one away, but there's the Morrigan ult in form of the Anubis. Does decent poke. Zapman gets shut down by Baskin. Looking for Wrong You next, but you've been stopped in your tracks, Rat Milk. We're gonna slurp you up too. Double there for Shinto. Borscht want to continue fighting. They recognize that this is their last chance, but it's been stomped out just like Baskin's life by Haddix. Absolutely mollywopped there by the lunge. It's gonna be now. This bird still up for the mark. A nice stun, a nice kill. Pagon for the killing spree by Shinto. Panda Cat's the only one left alive, but I'm not a big fan of house cats. I'm allergic. Get out. Shinto takes them down for the double kill. It's the deicide. It's the victory. This nice bowl of borscht served up oh so scrumptious. They'll take it in 2.
You gotta buy anti-heal, guys. Anubis lived again. What are we doing? But for real, Scrumptious doing a wonderful job at checking themselves when they started to fall apart here. They gathered up their mental. They went, okay, jumping in with these Odins, these Fenrirs, we're not getting a whole lot. Let's reevaluate what we're doing. Let's plan around these fights a little bit better. Let's figure out where we're losing, attack that point, and then win the game. And they did that, giving Zapman space to let his ults rip, put out a bunch of damage, gathering around this Anubis, popping 5 shells. Deelo, 5 shells.
Show them the sheet.
It's time.
No,
Do the
Tess,
sheet.
bring it back. Tess, bring it back. We gotta show them the
Production, put me back in the sheet. I don't
Tess,
care
bring it
about
back. Bring it back. Bring it back. Bring it back.
Look at this. Look at this.
Look at that. Look at that.
Buy right
Look
now.
at that. Profit.
Right now. Boom. You win. You literally win all the time. It's what you do. I cannot even count how many times I saw somebody live when they absolutely should have died. But 5 shells went. Wow.
There's a reason why turtles have survived like every extinction event, dude. They got shells.
Oh, yeah. Oh, 100%.
They invested a long time ago. That's why we're in the sewer. We're hanging with the reptiles. And Scrumptious right now hanging with the victors. Man, 2-0 does not at all, though, represent this set. Borscht put up such a damn good fight. It's such a shame that we couldn't see it go to 3. I'm just glad that we got to see it at all, though, Musi. Look at these numbers. Tell me about them.
It feels like a 2-1 set. I agree with you there with the way that Borscht is putting up that fight. I mean, look at the damage coming out from Baskin and from Panda Cat. The only other person who's doing more than them is Shinto on this Anubis. Baskin and Panda Cat out-damaged everybody from Scrumptious minus Shinto. So it's not for any lack of gumption or damage output. It's just they didn't have enough. Anubis was just able to put out so much, and we did nothing to slow it down outside of, Bacchus.
Yeah, it's just unfortunately, as soon as they seemed to recognize the real threat, it was already just too late. You already bought your tickets to the laser show, and they are non-reimbursable. And that just means that Scrumptious, moving on here, they've tasted that oh sweet taste of victory once again. Borscht, better luck next time. But that's all we got for you here today for Smite in the Sewer. I've been Deelo, joined here by the vocal talents of Musicland. If you were here earlier, you heard Blaine as well. But who have we had behind the mic or behind the camera all this time? It's been Tess, Almighty Eye in the Sky. Please make sure to thank our production for their assistance. We cannot shout about games without them. And last, but certainly not least, thank you, loyal, obedient viewer for your time. We hope you've enjoyed these sets just as much as we have. Keep an eye to this guy for more content. We cover LATAM in Spanish. We cover Swiss bracket offline games. We be doing it all. Make sure to cover also all the socials of all the Super Squad members as well. But with that, guys, good games, good night, bye, Shell.